Hi year 4, it's Miss Note here and I have got your box set test today. So it's slightly different to our usual lessons, but because it's coming towards the end of the half term, we usually have you can't see it very well, but we usually have our box set test, our box set finale that we don't just have on the Fridays, but we have at the end of the half term so we can rewind all of our learning from this half term and bring it all from the back of our minds to the front of our minds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the sheet and go ask you the questions, and then I'll go through the answers as well. Hopefully you've managed to collect one of these from school so you can fill it in as I go through the questions, and if not, you can have a look at the screen and copy things down, copy down what it looks like. Okay, so I will share my screen with you in a second and show you the test. Okay, so get your test ready and I will show you the one that I've got. Okay, so sorry about the shininess. The paper quality is too good, so it's a little bit shiny, but hopefully you've got your own copy to see these questions. So number 1, we are going to be looking at geography for 4 questions here. So number 1 says, whilst I'm not writing, I can probably hold it here. Number 1 says, label the parts of the volcano. So what I would like you to do is, using your knowledge, have a look at where those arrows are pointing and fill in those boxes for me. So what are these parts of a volcano? And I will try and get a little bit closer, actually, that might help. Okay, so if you've not done that yet, pause the video because I'm about to move on. So then number 2, can you name the 4 layers of the earth for me, please? And I'm about to give you number 3. Can you please give me 2 positive reasons, or 2 reasons why it would be a pro to settle near a volcano? What can we get from settling near a volcano? 2 good things. And then finally, for question 4 for geography, can you then give me 2 negative reasons, so 2 cons to living or settling near a volcano? So make sure you filled out all 4 of those. Pause the video now if you haven't, because I'm about to go through the geography answers. Okay, so the parts of a volcano. Well, first of all, we know that at the top, if we start at the top, we have got the ash at the very top. And then what we've got here, it's pointing right to the very center. This is the vent. Try and get a little bit clearer for you. I know it's quite. So that's the vent. And then what we've got here, the next one on that side, is we've got, now this, you might have a couple of different words for it. You might have throat, or you might have conduit, and I will give you both of those, throat and conduit. Now looking on the other side, this first one is pointing to all of this on the outside, and we know that that is the lava that has erupted. And then when that lava erupts, we know that it hardens because it's not as hot as inside the earth. So it cools down and it hardens. And then builds up each time. So the very first eruption will have created this layer here. And so each time it erupts, there are layers and layers and layers of lava that solidify. So these are layers of lava and ash. I'm just going to put lava because I don't think I fit anymore, but they are the layers of lava that have solidified. And then finally, we've got at the very bottom, we've got the magma chamber, which is inside the earth, and it's where all of that liquid rock is stored and the pressure builds. Okay, so the next one, name the 4 layers of the earth. I remember them in a pattern because it's almost like a rhyme to me. So I say inner core, outer core, mantle, crust. So you've got the inner core, the outer core, and we're working from the center out here. Outer core, then we've got the mantle, and we've got the crust. Okay, so now 2 positive reasons to settle, oops, visualizer slipped, to settle near a volcano. You could have had tourism, which then obviously increases the amount of money and people visiting. You could have had diamonds. You could have had fertile soil, because that means that the soil is better for growing crops. You could have also had energy, because the heat energy can power things as well. I'm trying to remember these off the top of my head as well. I'm not sure about the others. We've also got, I almost had them all, guys. I just forgot the granite forming as well. So granite also is formed, and granite is good for building. So granite is formed. So any of those could have been your answers. And then for the negatives, we obviously have loss of life and loss of cattle. So loss of life and cattle. So life obviously means death for people, and cattle means a lack of food or less food. Gases are also released. You could have had this. Gases released, not always positive to have gases released. It can cause fires. It can cause people to be fearful. And it can also cause a loss of homes, which can be devastating, and lots of damage to property and things. Okay, so that was the geography section. The next bit that we're going to look at is the science section. So some of this you did literally just the other day. I think it was just last week. And so question number 1, if I can move the other bits out of the way. Question number 1, goodness me, I'm no good with this, am I? Question number 1 says, label the volume and pitch of these sound waves. So I'd like you to do that for me, thinking I'll give you some of the words. Some of them will be loud or high pitched, and then the opposite of those two as well. Okay, pause if you're not ready to move on. Oh, yeah, pause if you're not ready to move on, because that is the only science question and I'm about to give you the answer for it. Okay, so here there is an arrow showing that we're looking at the height of this wave, and here we're looking at the height of this wave. Now the word for that is the amplitude, and it means the height of the wave. Now this wave is small and this wave is large, and so this wave does not have much energy, but this wave has quite a lot of energy. So I'm going to put that this is our quiet wave, a quiet sound. And this is a loud sound. Now, I said loud and quiet, but I also mentioned the pitch. So one of these is going to be high pitch, and one of them is going to be low pitch. Now, this one has only really got one and a little bit wave, so it's only really got one wave. It's got a low frequency of waves. This one's got quite a few waves packed in. So this one's got a high frequency of waves. Now, if I'm not sure, if I can't remember the information, I can remember, but I can remember something else. I can remember that sound is vibrations. So what I'm going to do is, although I can't remember it, I'm going to think about the speed. So a really slow wave compared to a really fast wave. And I think I can predict or estimate or have a good guess about which will be low and which will be high. If something only has a very slow waves, lots of slow waves, it is going to be low pitched. And if it has lots of waves packed in, then it's going to be high pitched. So let me just add the word, make that make a little bit more sense. So that is our answer to our science question. We're now going to move on, if you turn over to our English question. So English is looking at positives here. So we're going to tick the sentence out of these ones here that contains a positive. So we've got Varjak, a Mesopotamian blue kitten, lives high in an old house. Then we've got Varjak's fur bushed out with fear. And then the third one, he crept towards it. his ears standing up, listening for the sound. Now, I can remember, oh, in fact, no, sorry, you answer that question. I was about to go through the answer. You guys answer that question and pause if you're not ready to move on, because I'm going to read question 7. So use an appropriate ASBO to complete this compound sentence. What's a compound sentence? I wonder if this picture will help me remember what a compound sentence is. Volcanoes are found near tectonic plates. This is where most natural disasters occur. This is something, and then this is the reason. It's giving a reason. So, if you're not ready to move on, pause and finish it for me. Number 8, complete this. A complex sentence is a sentence that contains a Now, if you're not sure, I'm going to give you a clue. We can use question 7 to help us. We know that a compound sentence is a sentence that has got an ASBO. So it's not the sentence with an ASBO, the other kind of sentence. See if you can rewind your learning so that you can finish this sentence here. And then we're moving on to question 9, which is our final question of the English section. I'm trying to get a good angle on this, but I am struggling. I apologise. Can we see question 9? There we go. Question 9 is asking us to give an example of each kind of sentence. So we would like a simple sentence, a compound sentence, and a complex sentence. Okay, and that is the English section. If you've not finished any of those, pause for me because I'm about to give you the answers. So let's have a look. What do we know about appositives? Well, I know that they are extra information about our subject. So they're going to be around when we talk about Varjak or he or his ears. Now, I also know that an appositive has 2 commas, one at the front and one at the back. Let's have a little look. This one has got 2 commas around some extra information. So this one is a strong contender and it could be an appositive. This sentence has no commas. So that means it's a main clause. Varjak's fur, that's what we're talking about. What did his fur do? It bushed out with fear. There's no appositive in there. You're not telling me anything extra about his fur. What about this one? This third one's got a comma. He crept towards it, his ears standing up. Oh, that's only 1 comma. So for this one, it's not an appositive. What do you think this is? He crept towards it, his ears standing up, listening for the sound. I think that's a bit of an adverbial. It's telling us when his ears were standing up. They were standing up when he was creeping towards it. Okay, so that means that with the 2 commas, with it being extra information about Varjak, this is the one with an appositive. Well done, year 4. Now, for the next one, we are looking for an ASBO that can complete this compound sentence. Now, and, so, but, and, or, they are the appropriate, let me try again. They are the conjunctions we could use. Well, and what I'm going to do is, there are a couple of strategies I could use to answer this question. I could try all of them in there, or I could read it and have a little think about what the sentence is telling me. So volcanoes are found near tectonic plates. This is where most natural disasters occur. So these 2 main clauses go hand in hand. Volcanoes being near tectonic plates is because of the fact that that's where natural disasters occur. It links together. So I could use and. I don't think I'll be using but. That's usually opposites, and or is also usually opposites. Volcanoes are found near tectonic plates, and this is where most natural disasters occur. Maybe. Volcanoes are found near tectonic plates, so this is where most natural disasters occur. I think so. Sounds best there. Okay, question number 8. Complete this statement. A complex sentence is a sentence that contains a... Now, it's not an ASBO or a coordinating conjunction because we did that in the compound sentence. So it's the other kind of sentence that has more than a main clause. And we know a main clause is sassy and independent, and it doesn't need anything else to make sense. Now, a complex sentence has got that main clause in it, but it's also got a dependent clause. Dependent or dependent, I think. Dependent clause in there as well. Okay, so it is a complex sentence because part of it, this clause here, will not make sense on its own, and that's what makes it complex. This dependent clause is needy and it needs to hang on to a main clause. So that's complex, that's why they're so complex. Now for this question, for number 9, I'm going to give you an example, but I'm going to trust you to mark this question yourself because you could pretty much have any sentence in the whole entire world as long as it has a main clause. So my simple sentence with a main clause is going to be, Miss Noak was hungry. Because let's use things that we know as facts. Miss Noak was hungry. This is what we know. It's always easiest if we do our learning about things that we know about or things that we're familiar with, because it helps us to understand different things, more complex things. So my simple sentence, Miss Noak is my subject and was hungry is my predicate. That's what we know about her. Now, let's make it a compound sentence. So Miss Noak was hungry. Excuse my handwriting, I'm trying to do it fast for you so the video is not too long. Now, if I can't remember, I can use this sheet to help me. So a compound sentence here has gone ASBO, so I'm going to need an ASBO. I'm going to draw it in so I remember. And each main clause makes sense on its own. So Miss Noak was hungry, so I need a subject. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Miss Noak, but I don't want to say that again. So I'll say she got, that's what she did. What do we know about her? She got some food. Okay, so this compound sentence needs joining with an ASBO or a coordinating conjunction. Miss Noak was hungry, but she got food, and she got food maybe, or she got. I think it's so. I'm going to use so again. Miss Noak was hungry, so she got some food. Now, finally, we need a complex sentence. So we need that main clause, and I'm going to start with that so I know I've got a main clause. So this will make sense. So keeping that same main clause, Miss Noak was hungry. Now I'm going to put a comma because this next bit is going to be dependent. So it's not going to make sense on its own. And I know that a kind of dependent clause is our blue rainbow grammar card. It's our subordinate clause. So I'm going to tell you, it could also work for adverbial phrases here. I'm going to tell you when Miss Noak was hungry. Miss Noak was hungry after school. Because I tell you what, guys, I have to have a snack pretty much every day after school, whether I have it while I'm still at school or when I first get home, I usually have a snack. So Miss Noak was hungry after school. Now, does after school make sense on its own? No, because I'm not telling you anything. After school is a dependent clause and it needs that main clause there. So I'm trusting you to mark your own. This needs to make sense on its own. This one needs to have 2 main clauses joined with an ASBO. That's a coordinating conjunction. And this one needs to have a main clause and then a dependent clause that won't make sense on its own. Okay? If you can identify those in your sentences, then you are correct. The next one then, oh, it says autumn 2 at the top. It's not autumn 2, so do not fear, because this is what we have been covering. There is just a slight typo. So now, history, we've got 2 questions. Give an example of a first-hand source. Give an example of a second-hand source. First-hand, second-hand. I wonder if there's something about first and second in English that can help us. First person, maybe. That might help us. I'm not sure. Okay, so I would like you to answer these 2 questions and then pause the video just in case you haven't done them yet, because I'm about to give you the answers. So an example of a first-hand source is anything that was there at the time. So a lot of artifacts, that's from our learning last week, the week before, A lot of artifacts are first-hand sources because they were there in the moment. Also, if you can interview a person that was there, so somebody that was there, that would be a first-hand source. Or if it's a diary entry from that person, that would be a first-hand source. Anything that was in that moment and comes from that time is a first-hand source. So if you've got anything else and you're sure it's a first-hand source, I trust you to be to show integrity and mark it correctly. And then give an example of a second-hand source. So if first-hand is when something was there, second-hand must be something that was not there. So a second-hand source, you could have your teacher. We were not there, believe it or not, for all of the world wars and the ancient Greeks and the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Roman times and the Victorian times. We weren't there, but we tell you the information and you trust us. So we are a second-hand source. We use things to help us work out the answers. That could also be anything that you find on websites online. It could be any books that you read. Now, books, be careful with books, because usually by books, we mean textbooks. If there is a book that somebody wrote that was there, similar to a diary entry or interviewing them, then that would be a first-hand source, if it's coming from somebody that was there. But teachers' websites and usually textbooks are second-hand sources. Under first-hand as well, we can have pictures. Anything that was there, anything that screenshots or grabs that moment is a first-hand source. Okay, French now. Complete the sentences to match the pictures. Now, I have realised that this is something that we didn't learn about, and this one as well. And that's because I haven't quite matched that up to our French lesson. So what I would like you to do here is, instead of saying that you like eggs and you don't like ham, we're going to say, I like bread, but you don't like butter. And of course I'm saying that because it's me, Miss Noak. I do not like butter. So pause and write out those two sentences for me. And then we're going to check the answers now. So here we know that j'aime means I like. So j'aime. Ooh, now can I remember bread? It is du pain. I will double check that spelling for you. And then full stop, even in French. And then I don't like butter. So j'aime means I like. What is I don't like? It is je n'aime pas. And well done if you remember the little apostrophes that we have in French. Je n'aime pas de beurre. Okay, full stop as well. And that is I don't like butter. Okay, moving on then to our final section of the test, of our rewind. It is all about maths. And so we are going to be looking at identifying the irregular quadrilateral. So pause and have a go at this question for me. Which one, if you're writing it out at home, number 13, is it A, B, C, or D that is irregular? What is completely irregular? And number 14, identify the shape which has got more than 3 obtuse angles. Which one's got more than 3 obtuse angles? Obtuse angles. Okay, number 15 is asking you to complete our STEM sentence. Area is, I wonder if you can use perimeter to help you. Perimeter is the space around a 2D shape. So area is, and then we need to find the area for 16 of the shaded shape. Now this inside is not shaded, this is the shaded shape. What's the area of that? And then finally for number 17, you need to find the odd one out. Which time is not the same as the other time. Okay, so we're going to go through it. So if you've not completed any part, just pause it for me and then play again when you're ready for the answers. So identify the irregular quadrilateral, 2 words that are important here. Quadrilateral, I know that root word quad means 4, like in a quad bike. So we're looking for shapes with 4 sides. So I already know that one of these cannot be my answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a pentagon, so it can't be you. No to you. Irregular quadrilateral. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are all quadrilaterals now. Which one is irregular? So I know that regular means all angles and sides are the same. So which of those is irregular? The opposite of that. So this one has got 2 short sides and 2 long sides. That's not all 4 sides the same. So this one, question B, answer B, is our irregular quadrilateral. And then the shape that's got more than 3 obtuse angles. So let's have a look. First of all, straight away, we know that for squares and rectangles, all of their angles are right angles. So it is not you. Goodbye. What about then A? Let's have a look, A, B, and then D. A, let's have a look at all of your angles. If I was to use this as a right, oh, you can't see it, sorry. If I was to use my hand as a right angle, would that fit? Oh, that's too small. That doesn't fit. Let's turn the page. That doesn't, oh, you can't see it, sorry. That's too small. If this is a right angle, there, that's too small. So it's definitely not you. Okay, so this has got 4 angles. Are 3 of them obtuse? So let's have a look. Flipping it upside down a second, because this angle here, this would be a right angle, like a square. So these are bigger. So these are obtuse angles. Okay, we've got 2. We could be on to a winner. Let's have a look then. If I was to imagine a right angle, oh no, that's smaller than a right angle. Okay, what about this other one? They look very similar. If that was my, oh, that's smaller as well. So it's not B. That means it must be D. Let's double check that. So all of my angles are bigger than right angles. They're just a little bit wider. If I try and draw a perfect L shape on each of my corners, each of my angles, they are all bigger than a right angle. So it is D. Well done. Now, perimeter is the space around a shape. So area is the space inside a shape. Okay, it's how big the shape is. It's how much room, how much space does it take up? So how much space does the shaded shape take up? Now this is not shaded, so we don't want you. So we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I've noticed a pattern here. I'm counting my 3s, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36. It's 36 squares as the area. And finally, our final question. Which time is not the same as the others? So let's have a little look. Let's have a look at the analog clock first and see what that time says. So the hour hand is almost at 4, but it's not there yet. So we are still in the 3 hour. And it is, now if we split our clock in half, this is past and this is 2. So it's something to something. It's, ooh, let's have a look closely if I just carry that line on. How many minutes until we get to the next hour? Let's have a little look. 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8 minutes until we get to 4 o'clock. So this is the same. This is okay. 8 minutes to 4, that's the same. This is 8 minutes to 4. Now, which of these? So it's 52. Which of these shows 8 minutes until 4? This one? No, I can hear you at home all the way from here. It's not this one because this one is 8 minutes until we turn this into a 5. This is 8 minutes until we turn it into a 4, and we are not at the 4 yet, so that's what we're going towards. We're not heading towards the 5, we're heading towards the 4. Okay, well done, guys. Let me flip the video for you. Okay, well done. That was a very tricky test, and it has covered everything that we have learnt, most of the things that we have learnt since whilst learning from home. Nice empty waiting box there, guys. Sorry, I've just seen it in the background. But well done. That is a big old rewind to check our learning and see what we found tricky and what we found, what was sticky in our minds. Okay, well done, and I will see you very soon.